Last night, President-elect Joe Biden announced that he will be choosing Jamie Harrison to lead the DNC. Hooray! With the hope that he can get them to hang on to their slim majority in Congress. Harrison most recently shattered fundraising during his Senate race against Lindsey Graham in the 2020 elections. And before that was the chair of the South Carolina Democratic Party. Not an easy task. The New York Times, writing about the difficult road ahead for Harrison and the party, said, quote, "The party committee will have to bridge the divides between Democrats who want Mr. Biden and his messaging to focus on unifying the country and a liberal wing eager to pursue prosecutions and other measures to hold the President Trump and his allies accountable." Joining us now, Democratic strategist Juanita Tolliver and the Reverend Al Sharpton, host of MSNBC's Politics Nation and president of the National Action Network. Rev, I'll start with you. You know Jamie, I know Jamie. Talk about what makes him uniquely qualified to head the DNC.
Well, Jamie Harrison has proven himself to lead the Democratic Party in South Carolina. Is an excellent fundraiser, an excellent person that knows how to bridge both the progressive and the moderate wing of the party, and is excellent in knowing how to organize and mobilize in the South, where the Democrats have now began to make some progress and needs to continue that if we're going to see the wins that we saw in 18 and in 20 under Tom Perez. So I think that there couldn't have been a better person than Jamie, who has the experience and the track record to do what's needed to be done at this time.
So Tom Perez, you got to give him a lot of credit, right? The Democrats won the White House, won the House, won the Senate during his time there. But Jamie Harrison has a very different job than Tom Perez. Juanita, what's a successful term for Jamie Harrison going to look like several years down the road, following up on what is arguably a pretty successful run by Tom Perez?
Above all, it's going to include heavy long-term investments in state parties across the country to not only build that infrastructure, but learn some lessons from the playbook that we saw on display in Georgia. Invest in programs and organizing programs run by Black and brown women across this country who know how to invest in voters. And I think that's something that we've seen Jamie do in his home state of South Carolina, even in different programs where he actively engaged communities that are typically ignored by elected officials, typically ignored as voters. And he made sure that they got attention, they were heard, and they turned out to the polls. So I feel like that, above all, is his number one goal here. I think number two is absolutely listening to all parts of the party. There are, like you mentioned in that New York Times story, he has to hear progressives, he has to hear moderates, and he has to make sense of it all. What he has going into this role, though, is strong relationships with state party leaders across the country, and that's going to be a massive asset for him as he navigates this terrain.
Hey, thanks for watching our YouTube channel. You should know that you can follow today's top stories and breaking news and catch up on your favorite MSNBC shows all in one place. Download the NBC News app today.